The Battle of Hastings took place on October 14, 1066, in Hastings, southern England. It is considered the most important land battle in British history, as it resulted in the Norman conquest of England. The key opponents were the Normans, led by Duke William of Normandy, and the Anglo-Saxons, led by King Harold of England. Both sides had approximately 6,000 troops. Before the battle, Duke William of Normandy was a powerful French noble who also laid claim to the English throne. In 1064, Harold Godwinson, Earl of Wessex and advisor to King Edward the Confessor, had visited Normandy and either pledged allegiance to William as Edward's successor or was forced to do so due to a shipwreck. Upon his return to England, Harold became king after Edward's death, although his position was weak due to internal divisions and opposition from some nobles. Duke William saw this as an opportunity to secure his claim to the English throne and sent emissaries to Harold demanding that he fulfill his oath of allegiance. William's position was stronger, having alliances with other French nobles and the support of European opinion, which regarded Harold as a usurper. To weaken Harold further, William encouraged Tostig, Harold's brother, to lead Norse forces in raids against the English coast, making Harold believe that a Norman invasion was imminent. The Norman army was well equipped and centered around mounted cavalry, with weapons such as lances, swords, and maces, along with shields and chain-mail armor. William needed ships to transport his troops and horses to England, but the weather posed a challenge for a channel crossing. On the other hand, Harold had to assemble his forces with limited resources, including warships made from fishing and commercial vessels, as the English fleet had been disbanded by King Edward. He had only a small professional army and could only gather a larger citizen force with difficulty. The Anglo-Saxon soldiers were armed with spears, javelins, swords, and axes, and archery was practiced but not yet a prominent weapon of war for the English. As the summer came to an end, Harold's forces disbanded after their terms of service expired and they received no pay or provisions. Just as this happened, Harold received news that King Harold Hardrada of Norway, along with Tostig, had invaded the north of England. In 1066, a series of significant events occurred in England that would forever change the course of its history. It began with the arrival of Norwegian forces, led by King Harold Hardrada, who landed near York on September 18. Just 2 days later, at Gate Fulford, the Norwegians defeated the English forces under Earls Edwin and Morcar. However, King Harold of England quickly responded to the threat and marched north with the remaining forces that had not been disbanded. On September 25, at Stamford Bridge, Harold's army all but wiped out the Norwegians, resulting in the deaths of both Harold Hardrada and Harold's own brother, Tostig. While the English celebrated their victory, another challenge was fast approaching. Duke William of Normandy, who also laid claim to the English throne, had been preparing his forces to sail for England. In early August, William's forces were ready, but due to unforeseen circumstances, he did not set sail until mid-September when favorable winds finally allowed it. William's fleet landed in England at Pevensey on September 28, and he marched his army to Hastings, the coastal terminus leading to London. To draw Harold into battle, William ravaged the countryside, which prompted Harold to leave his victory celebrations in York and head south, gathering additional men along the way. Harold also ordered around 70 vessels to prevent William's fleet from escaping. On October 13, Harold's forces made camp about 7 miles away from William's. Harold likely intended to catch William off guard with a night attack, but arriving too late, he decided to rest his men. At dawn on October 14, William's forces advanced towards the Saxon army. Both sides had approximately 6,000 men, and the battle was evenly matched in terms of training and equipment. Harold's professional soldiers formed a shield wall and held the high ground, but they lacked archers and cavalry, which William's forces had. The battle commenced with a Norman attack around 9 o'clock a.m. William's Breton left wing initially retreated in confusion, causing a moment of panic due to false rumors of William's death. However, William quickly rallied his men and cut down the few Saxons who left the shield wall. The battle continued throughout the day, with the Normans employing a series of attacks and feigned retreats. Nevertheless, the Saxons remained steadfast behind their shield wall. William eventually ordered a high-angle arrow fire from his archers, followed by a final charge. In the midst of the chaos, Harold was struck in the eye with an arrow, and the Norman forces managed to crack the shield wall. Harold fought valiantly but was ultimately cut down under his standard, making the battle decisive. Following Harold's death, William cautiously advanced on London, and in mid-December, most Anglo-Saxon nobles submitted to him. On Christmas Day 1066, William the Conqueror was formally crowned as King of England, marking the beginning of a new era in English history. However, his reign was not without challenges, as he faced rebellions and had to suppress resistance in various regions of the country. Despite this, William laid the foundation for an effective state system centered on the king, which would greatly benefit England in the centuries to come. The victory also ended the Anglo-Saxon connection with Scandinavia and solidified ties between Norman England and France, setting the stage for significant consequences for both nations in the future.